We'll open up with the Tehillim of Gimel 23. Nizmor David, Adonai, Lo Yachar, V'nafesh Yarbi Tein, Yamim Yikos, Malini, Nafshi Yisrael, Yachirim, Avitzek, Shemo, Yam Kiev, Gates Hama, V'Hesed, Rock, Yatrim, Adi, Shetuk Mabishante, Fahimei, Nachamduni, Harok, Pupana, Shupan, Yaget Sola, Yishak, the Vashem, Roshi, Katsir, Vayakov, Vafesi, between Kobe Hayai, Yishak, the Base Adonai, Yo, Rakamim. For those that might not understand the Hebrew, some of the David, God is my shepherd, I shall not lack. God caused me to lie down in those pastures. God leads me beside tranquil waters. God fills my soul and guides me in righteousness, for God makes it. So I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I will fear no evil to be with me. Your scepter and staff, they comfort me. Prepare a table before me, and food with my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows me. Only goodness and kindness consume me in the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God today. Pasternak to also recite the ancient style, the last two verses. I am the Rafa, you can name it. Below Rafa, you may buy it, or I should send you fish game. Terrible. They sort of now say, huh? What's the difference? My bad, they must have thought I said the one that I see already that one she's doing it. I already. God enough so bad things so that I'm going to listen. I've planned I just have no mark around the parts of the book. How to come up. The other states of that man who so there. I am to you. Yeah, police are to love. Show you that something like this. It's how to Victoria there, we have to love as you are in Monday to contribute to Bernice Goldstein, Bill Rocco, Goldstein, I'm sorry. This is my head from him. So Bernice Goldstein, Bill Rocco, that's Gedalia program. Bernice was born on August 10th, 1939, to George and Anna Garber. She was the sister of the late Ellen Flamenbaum and her husband, the brother-in-law of the late Kurt Flamenbaum, and the city of Kibbutz L'Chaim, Goldie Pasternak, who is joining us via the live stream from Israel. And of course, Her brother-in-law was mentioned before, the Velvel Pasternak, who also had a very strong impact on her life in terms of her love for Jewish music. Many cousins she had, her parents had siblings and children. Her husband, however, shown Seymour, was buried over here for close to 43 years. They were married in 1960, and she's the sister-in-law of Jay Goldstein and his great wife Janet. And then after, you know, what Lisa shared with me that for many years after Seymour's passing, Bernice would be that and that was something that's very special. And of course, two other special titles that she had in her life. And one of them is, of course, being a mother. And that's the Lisa, and of course, Leslie, her son, including the son-in-law, and to her jewels and treasures grandchildren, Jared, and married to Grace, Jenna, and Noah. Bernice was the youngest of three sisters, and she grew up in Brooklyn in East New York. Probably nowadays you wouldn't really want to go out of your car to see that neighborhood, but that's what she 2 blocks away. So she came from East New York, started off her education in public school, transitioning to Central for high school, and eventually making her way to Brooklyn College. And of course, yes, we had Lisa as her biological daughter and her 3 grandchildren, but there are many more children that she has roaming around all over. She was a teacher both in elementary school and preschool. And of course, you know that there's a Rashi at the beginning of Midbar, where it talks about that your students are like your children. And the prophet says, "Who Moshe Aaron," and later it says, "Who Aaron and Moshe," which is the order between Aaron and Moshe and Aaron to teach that anybody who's taught, it's a thing to them. So of course, there are a myriad of students who have taught over the years. In addition to her bachelor's, when she was in her 50s, she returned to school to gain her master's degree, which she earned. She was very smart, enjoyed crossword puzzles, different word searches. She always had a book with them of word searches and puzzles with her, and she enjoyed the New York Times crossword puzzles, and she was also very well read with many books that she would read. As mentioned, her brother-in-law, of course, we know, was Noah Pasternak, and he made a very big impact on her and her appreciation for Jewish music. But of course, she also enjoyed Mozart and would go off into the Lincoln Center to hear classical music concerts. She married Seymour in 1960, and they moved to Queens in 1967 until about 8 years ago when she relocated to Park Plaza in Chicago. And Bernice and Seymour were active members in the Israel Blue Garden Hills for all those years. Together, they enjoyed traveling. National parks was a very it was a regular place on their itinerary, as well as Israel, which he had a very deep love for. In addition to enjoying music, he became a New York sports fan who accompanied Seymour to Met games, Giant games, Ranger games, all the, purest New York teams. We have people from all over, so every here in New York, so we have to give a shout out to our locals. But not only that, support them at the ball games. Not everybody finds ball games interesting, but as a dedicated Ishishkai, we always say that when a couple gets married, you never know what to expect. You expect, as Hashem, the best. But the best also comes out of a person when you're dedicated to care for somebody that has difficulty caring for themselves. And she was nurturing and caring for Seymour through his bout with dementia. As mentioned, 8 years ago, she moved to Chicago to the Park Plaza, where She was joining Lisa and family. But prior to that, when she still lived here in New York, she would take many trips out to visit with her children, and Lisa and with her grandchildren. But when she got to the Park Plaza, I think this was also one of the key characteristics of Bernice. Although her friends were, her time was really here in New York, she made friends in the Park Plaza, but not just with anybody, with the pianists that she played and those that would go to the concerts at the Park Plaza. But she was able to really establish a whole social network for herself. And as being an individual who was always very social and very outgoing or caring for people, wanting to, make friends, I thought of the following idea. Mishnah Navos Paragalit, Mishnah says, the heavy Mikavi called Adam Seder. And I think of one of the things that Bernice, Bela Rachel Basvidaya Cohen, one of her, the messages of her legacy is to be Mikavo Adam the Savior coming Yapos, to really be there to befriend people. Benu Yonah on the mission explains that what does it mean to be Mikavo Adam the Savior coming Yapos? Is that if a person receives others in a cheerful manner and in a positive manner and with grace, everybody will enjoy to be with them and enjoy their camaraderie. And I believe that's a picture of who she was, trying to always make friends and to have that fellowship and to make camaraderie. I think that fits into the words of the Mishnah, as well as the other Rabbi Nassim, who says, what's one of the most valuable things you can give to a person? Is even if you don't give them something physical, but when you give them a smile, and when you give them your friendship, that happens to be the biggest gift that you can give an individual. So I hope that we can take the lessons from somebody who is always giving, as a teacher, as a sister, a daughter, a mother, spouse, a grandmother. And I'm not going to say sister-in-law because I'm going to say sister. But that's what she was, a person that really encompassed the Pavel Adam the Savior 20 levels. We hope and pray that when Shema should have an idea. And we hope to say we are liberate us, not Hashem, to be erasing the tears and wiping the tears from your faces. And that you should be a Melita Yosher, a good advocate for not only the family, but for all of Klal Yisrael, that can portray the lesson of being a mensch and being a humble Adam.
As I mentioned, Bernice's greatest joy was her family, especially her grandchildren. Before I start, Jared mentioned to me that he wanted to say a few words.
Growing up, Grammy was a very special part of my life. She and Pops would come from New York to stay with us a few times a year, almost every Sukkot and Pesach. Every time she came for Pesach, there was an amazing coincidence. No matter how late we started, we got the mates. Right in the middle, the doorbell would always ring, and Grammy would show up smiling, excited to see us, even though we couldn't quite see each other with all the lights. Grammy loved to travel. When she came back, she would always bring us gifts. I still have the Alaska license plate keychain with my name on it that she once brought me. It has followed me on the corkboard I hang by my desk, from Skokie to everywhere I've lived since. When I was little, Grammy and Pop sent me birthday cards. They are always signed, hugs and kisses, Grammy and Pops. More recently, Grace and I would meet Grammy for dinner at her home in Park Plaza whenever we were in town. We always greeted her and left her the same way, with hugs and kisses. I'm sure all of us will miss those hugs and kisses deeply.
Bernice, my beloved mother-in-law, was very special to me. So you all know. She was caring, kind, and welcoming. Always greeting people with a warm smile on her face. I had the honor of calling her mom. Of course, I was in the first. That honor belongs to my wonderful wife. Interestingly enough, I wasn't the second to call her mom either. Bernice was so welcoming and easy to speak with that many of Lisa's friends would walk into their home in New York and greet Bernice with a cheerful, "Hi, Mom." It was simply a reflection of how she made people feel at home wherever she was. Bernice devoted herself to being a full-time mother. Her greatest focus was raising her wonderful daughter Lisa, who I admit I may be a bit biased when I call her wonderful. My mother-in-law was not only a devoted mother, but as the rabbi mentioned, also a passionate teacher who loved working with young children. That love of teaching was something she shared with Lisa, a legacy of nurturing young minds. Bernice and of course Seymour, her loving husband, were always welcoming and generous. Bernice opened her home without hesitation. It didn't matter to her if someone needed a place for a night, a month, longer. As an example, Bernice's niece, often stayed with them. Bernice and Seymour long became her master's degree. There are many, many others who experienced that same generosity from Bernice and Seymour. Bernice and Seymour, as the rabbi mentioned, often traveled to Israel. On one of those trips, it was for the wedding of a close friend of Lisa and me. Alec, the bride, recently shared with me that Bernice was like a mother figure to her. This was especially meaningful since Colette's own mother had passed away years before. Bernice was mom to many people, offering a sense of home wherever she was. In the last few months, Bernice needed a caregiver. We interviewed a number of candidates, and with Bernice's help, we decided on a woman named Leslie, that she was a good fit. And no, we didn't choose her because she had the same name as me. Because of Bernice's friendly, outgoing nature, Leslie and Bernice quickly became close friends. She wasn't just a caregiver like her. Leslie's cry of anguish and pain when she heard the news of Bernice's passing were heartrending. They had formed such a deep bond in those few short months together. But that was typical for her. She was outgoing, and when she made a friend, she didn't make an acquaintance. She made a friend, often a dear, dear friend. Bernice connected easily with people of all ages. My daughter Jenna told me that she had an opportunity, a number of them, to sit and speak with her Grammy, as they call her, for a long time, not just a quick conversation. And that Jenna's been a really treasure to me, because they really connected deeply, as Grammy did with everyone. As the rabbi mentioned, in addition to that, one of Bernice's love with music. At Park Plaza, for Bernice Lindsay's last 8 years, we quickly formed a deep relationship with Lindsay, who often played piano there. If Lindsay was playing, you know you could find Bernice close by, listening with a smile on her face. Our children were the first fix the energy from their mother. One time, and they would play their instrument for her over the phone. One time while Bernice was in the hospital, she was listening to Noah play piano. And a nurse came in and asked, "What is that? What are you listening to?" Which Grammy proudly, "That's my grandson." And the two of them listened together, a very big smile on Bernice's face. During COVID, Noah's band played at El Salvador Charity. For weeks and months afterward, she and her friends talked about that concert. Bernice just soaking up the mountain. But we take comfort knowing that we are now reunited with your beloved Seymour.
People that are being carried, we're going to bring the arm closer so we can perform SHO MS and the Kura. Just want to answer the Kila.
Folks, there's water here if anybody likes that. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
You take everything away, guys. Thank you.
If we have it for the homeowner.
Is Jeff over there, Reverend?
Anybody who we might have inadvertently or needed to step on their graves, and we hope that we were not uh, ruining their or disturbing their rest in any way. So we ask Mafila for any of those people that are buried here that we had to step on their graves in order to ensure the burial. Please know that we say that.
Male Rachamim Shochein Bamirumim Hamsem Nufanuk Nalkan Peya Shechina Ma'alot Kiroshim Utrim Kudahar Hakia Masirim Anishmat Velo Rachel Batma Shachal Olama Babur Shanachnu Mitalim Bahar Aspat Nishmata Began Eden, Hemin Upata, Bahein, Baal Hakmim, Yasira, Beseter, Inafav Olamim, Bitor Hapaim, Benitmata, Adonai, Unaflata, Lasnua Kwashom, Amishkava, Benomar, Amen.
Prepare to recite the Kaddish.
Messiah, Saka, that's home of Hayoma, we make content in Shalem, Shachwell, Efale, Badava, and that part is Fana, Yusra, Mayaro. Fova, Fana, Dishmaya, the Afraid, the Uplift, the Shop, the Food, maybe the rain, I come to the home, and the basis, so I'm the one to leave. Mirabel, Rapid, on the Mount Air. Correct, Mr. Arby, so now you say, it's a Darby, so let me allow to make the job with 11 to the professional massage. I'm not massage, the Maran be all along, you know a name. H number of the rich Maya, the time of Leno, the cold Israel, you know a name. O say Shalom, Mama, who you say Shalom, Leno, you have told Israel, you knew a name. Come on.
This afternoon, following the service, Lisa is going to be sitting ship in Staten Island at the home of her Uncle J Goldstein, 223 Sheridan Avenue, Staten Island. Today will be from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tomorrow, Wednesday, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then 1 to 4 p.m. After which she will be returning back to Chicago to Shiva at the residence 8932 Kilbourne Avenue. Thursday and Sunday, they'll be sitting 10:30, 12:30, 10:30 in the morning to 12:30, 1:30 in the afternoon to 5:30, and 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. After Shabbos, 9 p.m. to 11:30, and on Friday at Park Plaza, 6840 North Sacramento Avenue in Chicago, from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Going to ask if everybody can perform the two rows, the shoe rows. And again, we just want to make sure that we ask Bernice Goldstein in case we can do anything that was, give her proper honor and dignity. Please, we ask you, Goldstein, at any point from the time you're passing through now to the burial. So if we could form along the row over here, please.
Towards the cause, maybe?
And also we extend our, from a waiting to Sister Goldie, who's in Shiva in Israel at this point. We started earlier. Hopefully not being outside.